Hi, friends, fellow instructors of GED6072, the Philosophy of Ed. I wanted to just take a moment to talk to you about this class because you may find it fairly confusing because when we redid it together, we came up with sort of a different format. In the past, when I taught philosophy of education, going through a doctoral program that was partly in philosophy, I used to just present 15 different philosophies, and we summarized each one and looked at each one, and then students were expected sort of to connect with ones that resounded with them. And I always found like it was so much time and energy for them to focus on all the philosophies that they didn't really dig into any certain one and really have it touch them. So several years ago, I switched to more of a choose your own adventure style of the class, where students each week, it starts about the third module in, they answer a question. It's called the free write. And the first one, for example, is called the perfect world. So they make a list of what they would say, students would say, constitutes the perfect world. From that, in the next quad, when we're going to read about and look at what people believe is a perfect world, it separates into two philosophies, either idealism or realism. And so students, based on the way they answered that free write the week before, I move them into groups based on their answers. So in your copy of this course, let me go to the modules here. You will be getting, in module 3, here's the free write, like I was saying. And so this is a Google link, and it will ask them, there's 7 questions, 7 lines that they can write statements on about what they believe is the perfect world. So then in the next module, and the reason it happens in the module prior is it gives me, or gives you, a week to put them into groups. But when they come down here into the next module, which is on the perfect world, then when they get to the reading portion, you'll see it separates them into idealism or realism based on what they wrote. So you might ask yourself, well, how do I know where they're going to fall? So what I tried to do, or what I did actually, is in the instructor notes each time, when we get down here to the perfect world, it tells you the words that they would somehow write about where you would separate them. So like if somebody said, gee, I really believe students learn best when they're interested in what is happening, what the subject's about. Well, then here that would be progressivism. Or if they say, I really believe we need to know the basics, that would be essentialism. And over here, if they really feel like it's about collaboration and creativity, it would be in constructivism. So what you're going to do is sort of make a judgment, and then the students are going to be placed in one of those 3. That's the philosophy they'll read for the week, and they'll study, and they'll do activities about it. And the idea is that they would decide, is this for me or is this not me? Does this sort of resound with who I am, or does it not resound with who I am? Meanwhile, they're connected with partners, and their partner or partners or classmates would be reading one of the other philosophies. So they will be involved in a partner reading activity where they'll hear about the other philosophies as well. So it's not just one philosophy per week, but they're not responsible for all of that work for 2 other philosophies. They're only responsible for one. And so I just wanted to make sure that you understood what that is. It's actually turned out pretty cool in my teaching of this. I think I've done the online version now 5 or 6 times, and it's been a matter of refining it every time. But I think students really appreciate that they are in something that they've sort of had a connection with. So just so you'll know, too, the modules will be, at first, it's about just doing autobiographical things, all about me. And then we start with metaphysics, epistemology, and axiology, like the reasons behind philosophy. And they're not separated into groups at all. They're just with a partner. And then we start through these topics. And the topics are the perfect world, what would make a perfect world. The second topic is in Module 5, how do people learn? And so that will separate them into 3 groups this time, just so I can show you. They'll either be in the essentialism group, progressivism, or constructivism. After how people learn, there'll be a module called the purpose of schools. And again, that will separate them into 3 groups. Social reconstructionism, pragmatism, or perennialism. And then after the purpose of schools, or the purpose of school, we go to what do you believe should happen with students who experience trauma? So sort of abusive situations, kids that come, or learners that come out of those kinds of backgrounds, out of tough backgrounds. In this one, everyone always falls into the same philosophy, which is humanism. I've not had anybody that's fallen outside that. So you're pretty much done with having to separate them. So I hope that makes sense to you. Like I said, it's worked really well. You are more than welcome to contact me if you have questions about how it works or wonder about it. I'm more than happy to help you through it. But just remember, in the instructor notes each time will be the list of how you of the clue words to separate them, the key words that will separate them into groups. I think that's the hardest part, especially if you aren't 100% familiar with all the philosophies. That'll help you. The other thing too, in the master copy that Donna Marvel's working on, there will be 3 at the top of the whole experience. There are 3 choices for the main project in this class that we decided on as a team, the people that teach this class. We decided that they would either create a website or they would use individual technology activities to present what they've learned. That's the second choice. Or the third choice is to write a major paper. In my courses, I have not given them the choice about the other 2. I've only let them create a website. It's a struggle at first when they do it, but as they get going, they really get motivated, and the websites are beautiful. And numbers of people have used those for back to school night with parents or taken a copy of it to a job interview. It seems like it's really helped them a great deal. So that's just for your knowledge. Like I said, I have all my students do that one choice, but we set it up so you could have students do any of the 3 choices because the activities that Donna has put in, they mimic the activities that are in the website one, so everyone's getting the same thing and accomplishing the same thing. So I hope that's helpful, just as a little introduction. And remember, I'm more than happy to walk through this with you. If you've never yourself built a website before, I can show you how to do that in a very quick order. If you go to the very first, prior to the very first module in this class, it says the instructions, they do the very first thing, they build a structure for their website. And if you have never done it yourself, then you may want to do this, and it's got pictures, step-by-step instructions, so you could have yours built before they ever start, so you know something about it. But anyway, I hope this little video helps you and makes it clear to you what we're trying to accomplish here. Instead of learning a bunch of philosophy that you'll never use, we're trying to give them key philosophies that they can explain to parents, to principals, to their fellow teachers of what they believe and why they believe it. So they come out of it with, I think, 5 philosophies that really resound to them. And the idea is that they would really understand those and know the ins and outs of them. So remember, this is a survey course, so it's not going to be great in-depth study of philosophy, but that's sort of the goal. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope this has been helpful.